What a great day to be a Minuteman, huh? Yeah. Thank you all for coming and welcome to the John Francis Kennedy Champion Center. How about this building for those that haven't been here before? Pretty amazing, huh? So, for those that don't know, I'll give you guys a rundown of what we're going to do here today. For those that don't know me, my name is Jay Burnham. I'm the Director of Broadcasting here at the University of Massachusetts. And you probably heard me say this before, but I grew up in a small town in western Massachusetts in the heyday of UMass basketball. So I, like many of you, know how powerful and how much an impact this program can have, not only on the Commonwealth, but the entire New England region. So I, just like you, are very excited to welcome Coach Frank Martin home here to the University of Massachusetts. We'll have some opening remarks from Athletic Director Ryan Bamford. Coach Martin will make some remarks as well, and then we'll take some questions from the media that has traveled here today. And then we'll do individual one-on-one breakout sessions with Ryan Bamford and Coach Martin. And then we also have some student athletes in attendance as well. Noah Fernandez is here. TJ Weeks should be available too. Thank you guys for taking your time out of your busy schedules to join us here this afternoon as well. And Ricky's around here somewhere. So if you would like to talk to him as well, feel free when we get to our breakout sessions. But obviously it's been a huge couple of days here at the university. We'll have a ton of content and ways that you can help support the program in the next coming days. So please feel free to keep an eye on our social media channels as we continue to push this thing forward. So thank you all. With that, I guess we'll get started here with Athletic Director Ryan Bamford and his opening statements. Ryan.
Boy, Jay has settled in nicely into our play-by-play role and the voice of the Minutemen. There's no doubt we're thrilled to have Jay with us and to be part of this ceremony. I want to welcome you all here to the Champion Center, John Francis Kennedy Champion Center. And for those that are watching online from throughout the country, and really I've heard from actually some folks around the world that are excited about this hire and what it means for the University of Massachusetts. I have to tell you that today, Coach Frank Martin earned his first bonus because he showed up for the press conference. And Frank, let me tell you, that doesn't always happen. And so, congratulations. It is a very important day for not only our basketball program and this athletic department, but for this university. And I think for those that have followed this hire, you understand why. You understand the power of this head coach. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Frank Martin in a bit here, but I do want to start out by thanking a number of individuals who have been so instrumental not only during this search process, but in supporting our basketball program, and really in the way that they've supported this program over the last month, which has been an important month for UMass basketball. I want to start and recognize three individuals, and I'm going to get into a little bit more detail in a second on these three, but our president, Marty Meehan, who's a dear supporter, has done a great job as the system president for the University of Massachusetts. Our Executive Vice President, Jim Julian, and our Chancellor, Kumbal Subbaswamy. All three men, when we talk about leadership, when we talk about guidance, when we talk about making sure that excellence is realized, they personify that, not just in the way that they talk, not just in the way that they do their business every day, but in the way that they live the University of Massachusetts and us being excellent. I want to thank our student athletes in the men's basketball program for their patience, for their work this year, and for their excitement. I know they were anxious the last few weeks to see who their next leader was going to be, and we are so proud and excited to introduce them to Coach Martin, and we did that on Sunday when he arrived. I want to thank my executive leadership team, and in particular, Kirsten Britton and Jeff Smith, who while we were out to search, managed a lot of our departmental functions the last 3 weeks. Dave Biancamano, our basketball administrator, who many of you know was instrumental during this search process. He's been a real advocate for our basketball program and has been connected externally to a number of people, making sure that they felt good about where this program was going. So Jeff, Kirsten, Dave, thank you for your good work. Our external team, Jay talked about content building. Our external team in marketing and sales and fan experience and communications and creative services has done a magnificent job of creating and taking what Frank has done in his career and really establishing him as our next head coach. So I want to thank our external team. Also want to thank for those that are here today enjoying this wonderful facility, our operations and facility group led by Anthony Rosati. I want to thank them for creating this environment. And the band, the best band in the land, for being here and welcoming Frank Martin and Anya. Thank you for being here as well. And last but not least, I want to thank our fans, our supporters, especially those that, as we've gone through some adversity as a program, have stuck with us, have been investing in this program for many of you for years, have believed that we could get back to national prominence. And I'm going to tell you it's coming. I'm going to tell you it's coming. It's coming because you've continued to invest. And for those that we're welcoming back into our family, or for those that are new to the family, we are excited to have you with us as we start a new era of Massachusetts basketball. And I hope that this hire renews your energy in supporting this program. And last but not least, I want to thank the gentleman whose name is on this building, John Kennedy, who's been not only a staunch supporter, but a tremendous counselor to me, a tremendous asset in not only a search process, but in talking about what this program can be, what our athletic department can be. John, for those of you that know him, he absolutely loves University of Massachusetts, our Amherst campus and our Lowell campus, and he puts his investment behind that. And so, John, I know you're watching. Thank you for everything you've done for this university and our athletic program. This hire for me and this process for me in finding the right individual was very much about alignment. And that was a word that I used a lot with Coach Martin when we started to discuss this opportunity. It was a word that I used with President Meehan and Jim Julian and our chancellor when I talked about taking this program to the next level. It's not about a head coach necessarily, very important. It's not about an AD. It's about having everybody, the people in this room, our leaders, being aligned around a goal. And the investment that our leadership has made in creating UMass basketball as a priority, not only in our department but on this campus, is inspiring. We want to be excellent. President Meehan talks about excellence across this university, across the Commonwealth. And we've created now a dynamic with this hire and with Coach Martin joining us that allows us to realize excellence. And so that alignment's very important. And it's why we've landed on Frank Martin. But that investment and that alignment doesn't end with a hire. It continues on with the resources and the investment to be great. And so I would ask all of us, everyone who bleeds maroon, who loves this university, to commit to being part of this program and to making this program great, because we can't do it alone. There's a quote in our Legacy Hall, and for those that haven't been there, down the hall is sort of our tribute to men's and women's basketball at this university. And there's a quote on the wall from John Calipari, and it talks about taking a village to make this program great. And that's what it's going to take to get us back to national prominence. 6 years ago, I had the opportunity to spend time, for the first time, with Frank, his wife Anya, and their family. They came to campus. And I will tell you, from that moment, creating that relationship with this family, and Frank and Anya in particular, who have been tremendous supporters of our track and field program. Anya is a former captain, an A10 champion, a record holder when she left the University of Massachusetts. Spending time with them, listening to them and their support for us and how much they wanted to invest and contribute to their roots and how important that was to Anya, but especially listening to Frank talk about his roots and talk about in a really authentic way what shaped him and what made him. And now meeting some of his friends and listening to his stories and the engagement he had starting back in his first college basketball job at Northeastern 20 years ago, stops at Cincinnati, stops in Manhattan, Kansas, Columbia, South Carolina, the community engagement, but putting down his feet and being where he was and how important that was. That resonated. That didn't just happen in the last week. Listening to that was really important as I thought about this hire and bringing Frank here. That authenticity that's created. But this hire was different because we talked about alignment, and once we got there, it was great. And we talked about the vision, and we all know what a spectacular coach Martin is. But what made it particularly special for me, and I think for this university, is bringing back this woman, who is a very... She's a very important part of this, has been, under Frank's time as a head coach, a very important part of this program, and will be a very important part of this university. You will see it. You will see her. We are so proud to have her back, so excited to have her back. And the special impact, when you have the ability to bring Anya back here, Anya Forrest, who's now Anya Martin, back here to talk to a recruit, a parent, a guardian, a brother, a sister, and someone who wants to invest in this program in this university, someone who's lived it. That's powerful. That's awesome. And that was, I will tell you, was a real sweetener. It was a bonus times 10 to know that we were not just getting a great basketball coach, but we're getting somebody who we believe in, love, and welcome back to this home. So Anya, thank you, and we're excited to have you and Frank here with us. Frank Martin's one of the most respected basketball coaches in this country. His reputation speaks for itself. The success on the court has been extraordinary. Been to an Elite Eight with Kansas State, a Final Four with South Carolina. So many wins, and I will tell you, he is one of the most competitive people that I've met, and I love that about him. But the thing that really resonated with me as I had conversations with people who know Frank, who have been around Frank, is how much he pours himself into the young men in his program. How important what they do after basketball, how important that is to him and to his family, that they are his sons for life. And that's not just lip service. I've heard from people who have countless stories about what he's done for them in their lives in preparation and preparing them for life after basketball. That's important at a place like the University of Massachusetts. That's what we get from our leaders, from our head coaches, I'm looking at two right here in the first row who have won a lot of games, and Tori Verdi and Greg Carville, who have done that in their programs. That is important here. And that, to me, was a differentiator in looking at Frank in this position. I said it, and I think that you'll feel it. The community engagement, the way that he builds people around his program is remarkable. The hold that he had in Columbia, South Carolina, and Manhattan, Kansas, you're going to feel that. You probably already do. I know those that follow him on social media probably feel it, especially over the last 48 hours, and are excited to see what his next tweet will bring. But there is no better coach, no better fit, and no better time than right now for Coach Frank Martin to be our 23rd head coach of men's basketball, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce him to you today. Ladies and gentlemen, our head coach, Frank Martin. All right.
Oh, wow. Last 2 weeks, I'm a big believer that you learn every day. And the day you take for granted and you don't pay attention to what's in front of you, you cheat yourself. And the last 2 weeks have been an unbelievable education for me in the journey that I've been on. And, I reflect back to summer of 2000. And I was coaching high school basketball in Miami, in the same community I grew up in, where I still lived in. And that's all I aspired to be. And a gentleman by the name of Rudy Keeling approached me. And through a mutual friend who used to work for him and asked me, would you be interested in coaching college basketball? And I sat there and I never really entertained it because it wasn't part of, you got to understand, growing up in Miami, Florida, we didn't have NBA. We didn't have college basketball when I was in high school. Basketball was not a sport that too many people played in our community. Even though our high school was it's the winningest high school in the state of Florida in basketball. But I accepted the job. And as most people view the job of as an assistant coach, you see us as recruiters. Because if you can't recruit, you're not going to win. Because recruiting is not just reading some website and figuring out how many stars someone that doesn't know a young person puts next to a name. Recruiting is about building a relationship and figuring out who fits this community, this university, the vision, the future, everything that we will stand for, along with obvious talent. And that's what recruiting encompasses. So I took the job, and everyone views me as recruiting being a big part of my responsibilities. True. So I want you all to understand that life is a big circle. Life is just one big circle. You never know when the circle ends up back to where it started. And in my first recruiting job at Northeastern University, in the Commonwealth, in an area that I didn't know a whole lot of folks back then, I identified a UMass record holder to be my first recruit. I identified an Atlantic 10 champion to be my first recruit. And little did I know that that person was going to become my best friend, the mother of my children, and the person I respect the most in my walk of life, and that's my incredible wife, Anya Forrest Martin. I'll let her tell the story one day because it's her moment, not mine. But you should have seen that conversation when Ryan called and I went to her and I said, what do you think? I'll let her expand that story for you one day. But I'm so thankful. I'm so appreciative. I can't express. I feel like an 18-year-old that's going to college for the first time in his life. There's an enthusiasm that's in me right now. I wish I worked out the guys Sunday night, and I told them, I said, we're just going to be on the court for 30 minutes. I said, this is not for you. This is for me. I need to get on the court and teach because it's what I've done my whole life. It's who I am to my core, which is a teacher. and they were great, and I'll speak about them in a minute. But I'm so thankful for President Meehan. I'm so thankful for Chancellor Subaswamy. I rehearsed that a lot of times. But I'm so thankful for their belief in Ryan's vision and giving me this opportunity. I spent time with Executive Vice President Jim Julian. Blew me away in my conversations with him, knowing about my roots, about my community, and engaging me in conversations that really, really tickled me, that someone would know where I come from. And it reinforced to me what he's all about when he was so supportive of Ryan's decisions to give me the opportunity to be your next basketball coach. I'm all about, he used the word, Ryan did, and that's, I'm all about people. I'm about relationships. I'm about all of us being connected, from a fan to a donor to a season ticket holder to the managers to the players to the video coordinator to the assistant coaches to me to my boss to his bosses to the fans, everybody. I'm all about family. It's about being connected. And because the only way you win is if that happens. If you're fighting each other internally, it makes it really, really hard for your players to succeed. So it's all about being connected. And in that journey, as I was having conversations about coming here, I started paying attention to the guy that was talking to me. See, if you look at the person that's trying to recruit you and you follow his history, his leadership, his willingness to stand by people, tells you a lot if that's who you want to align with. And when I started paying attention to Ryan's leadership, I started looking around to the people that he's hired. And you go back and he hired Coach Carville. I think we all understand what's happened here over the last 2-3 years and the successes that he's had. He hired Coach Verdi. I think we all understand where his program was at 6 years ago and what just took place this past year. And then the guy sitting with them who we used to, even though there was a wall between our offices at Northeastern, it felt like we shared an office. He brought a national championship coach in Don Brown back home. So when I started paying attention to the successes of the people that Ryan has hired, I said, how the heck do I not jump in and take advantage of this opportunity? When I know the history of men's basketball on this campus, when I know as an outsider looking in, watching television in the mid-'90s as a high school coach, and watching the incredible run, the dominance, the enthusiasm, the excitement that existed on this campus every day that this team took to court. One of my greatest joys as a basketball coach as I've gone through my journey is the people I've met because of basketball. I ended up sitting at a table with Julius Erving, and he was the reason I chose basketball instead of football in the mid-'70s. I became a Philadelphia 76er fan because I saw Julius Erving, for those of us that remember, when basketball was not on live television, it was at 11:30 at night on tape delay. And I didn't know anything about basketball at the time, but I knew I was a kid that wanted to kind of stay awake when we had one television set and it was clack, 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 if you guys remember that. And I acted like I was sleeping. And my mother went to bed, and I woke up at 11:30 at night, turned the TV on because I wanted to see what was on. And it was a Philadelphia 76er Portland Trailblazer game in the NBA Finals. And I saw this guy flying through the air, and I'm saying, oh my God, I'm glued to the ground. How does this guy do this? And I became a Dr. J fan. And you hit fast forward, and because of that ball and because of that moment, I ended up spending an hour and a half with Julius Erving. It was one of the greatest moments of my life, and now I'm here at the place that he played college basketball to help represent who he is. It's an incredible moment for me because of those connections. The reason I talk about the alignment and that life's a full circle. So now with all that said, everyone has a feel for who Frank Martin is based on what television wants to tell you. Who are the Martins? For those of us that are going to take this ride together. My wife's the daughter of Jamaican immigrants. She's the first person in her family born in the United States. Blue collar, no college education, yet her siblings are college educated. The Martins, Frank, my side of the family. I'm the firstborn in the United States, son of Cuban immigrants. Blue collar, no education. I'm the first one in my family to ever step foot on a college campus. That's who we are. And as I started to engage my thoughts of who we are as a family, what we represent, we're about education. I know she's about education. I know I'm about education. So being at a university that education stands first and foremost is so important for us. It's a big part of who we are as people in our walk of life. It's very important that we comprehend, that we connect, that we're aligned with the values of what we're going to represent. We're a family. We will run our program like a family. Our players, a lot of people say family, but do you mean family? Our players, our fans, our everyone that's a support staff, everyone that runs this building and the incredible building that we're going to play in every time we take the home court. It will be a family. We will be here for each other through good and bad. We're not walking away from one another on a bad night. We will stay connected. We are the Martins. We're based on family and faith. It's two things that we live our life by. Our program. Everyone lately, and as coaches, we all use this word, and you hear the word culture. You know, and everyone, it's kind of become the sexy word amongst coaches. Well, you got to have culture. I pay a lot of attention. It takes me a while to learn sometimes. And I've sat around, because this is what I do for a living. What is culture? So you walk in rooms and you got all these sayings on the walls and all that stuff. Those are nice. But if you don't fight for those sayings, then you don't have a culture. If the sayings on the wall don't connect with who you are every day you take a step, then you don't have a culture. We're going to create a culture. And the culture that we're going to create is the one that we, all of us in this room, will fight for on a daily basis. I'm not going to use Coach Huggins' word, who's become like a big brother to me, because it's a rated R moment. But he has a saying that he uses internally in the locker room. And it's about, I'm going to kind of misrepresent a part of the statement. He wants everyday guys. That means that whether there's 2 feet of snow on the ground, whether it's 10 degrees, whether we won, whether we lost, we're going to answer the bell. We're getting up and we're going to work. It's who I've been raised to become. It's who my basketball journey's always been. It's what my family expects me to do. It's what my faith drives me to do. It's to answer the bell if I'm given the opportunity to do it for another day. Excuse me. Academics. I just told you, I was a school teacher for 16 years before I decided to step foot on a college campus as a basketball coach. I was a math teacher. I'm a teacher at my core. Academics is where it starts for me. Our players will be in class. Our players will go to class. Our players will excel academically. I'm fortunate during my career, because it's important to me, it becomes important to them. And what's important to them will become important to me. That's how you're aligned. I've been fortunate. Every player over my 15-year college head coaching career that's exhausted their eligibility has gotten a degree except one. That young man's been playing professionally, making at least $400,000 for the last 12 years. He's one class short. He calls me all the time. He's like a son to me. Wants a job because he's getting ready to retire. I said, you promised your mother in front of me that you were getting a degree. You better figure out a way to get that stats class taken care of. It's who I am to my core. It's who our players will be to our core. Because winning on the court is a byproduct of all the work, not just part of the work. You got to wake up and go to class. You have to excel to be great at everything that you're a part of. Academics, we choose to work, play at a university. The academic component is a direct correlation to the results that come on the basketball court. It's all connected. At K-State, we set records for men's basketball, not for campus, team GPAs. At South Carolina, we set records for team GPAs. It's important that our guys learn to excel. It's not who we are walking in, it's who we are walking out. And that journey to grow during our time on a college campus, academics is a huge component of it. Community service. I remember as a kid growing up in the neighborhood where we didn't have a lot. Anytime a celebrity would come in to speak and that person would leave, the speech eventually wore off. Don Shula was an icon in our neighborhood. Not because the Dolphins were undefeated. He was an icon in our neighborhood because he cared about our community. He'd come into our community. He'd embrace the people in our community. So he became an icon because of that, not because of his record, not because he was the winningest football coach in the history of the game. It's because he cared about who we were in our community. Well, at K-State, we set a program record for community service. At South Carolina, we set a program record for community service. At this university, we will set a community record for community service with our players. Helping our players understand who they're going to be when they become successful. Learning how to give back. Because in today's day and age with social media, our young people think it's all about them. And they go out in the real world as men, and they forget that it's about who you give to, not who you are. That makes you great, that makes you successful. So helping our guys understand that journey during their educational process on this campus will be a big part of who we are. We will start in our backyard of this community in Amherst, Massachusetts, but we're not going to forget the Commonwealth. We will go all over the state to go help different communities all over the state, whether it's all the way east to Boston or it's all the way west to Springfield. And every community in between, we will find time to touch the different communities because last time I checked, we are the flagship. We are the University of Massachusetts, and we encompass this whole state. And then obviously winning. Winning is on the court, is the way the world are going to judge these guys and me. We understand it. We sign up for it. We're not going to run away from it. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some ugly days. It's part of the journey. Life's not perfect. I tell players all the time, it's easy to get married. All you got to do is ask the word enough. Hard to stay married because there's a lot of bumps in that journey. So you got to get to the word of love. You can't just throw that word around and expect it to mean something. You got to work to make that word real. And when you get to that word, it's really hard to let go of whatever relationship you're in. And it gets back to family. That's how we're going to build this program. We're going to get to love. Player to player, player to coach, coach to coach, coach to player, fans, everybody. We're going to love because we're going to respect each other. We're going to have each other's backs on the bad days. But winning on the court, they're going to learn. They got it. It's my job to get it out of them. And we're going to figure it out, and we're going to recruit the right people that are willing to go to class, that are willing to not accept being a 2-5 student, but they're going to fight to be a 3-5 student. They're going to go into communities and help others and give of themselves to make others' life better through hope that they can grow up to be like our players one day. And then we're going to go on the court, and we're going to play harder than any team that ever plays against us. We're going to be more disciplined than any team that ever plays against us. I can't guarantee you that the ball's going to go in the net, but I can guarantee you our guys are not going to get out of the way defensively. We're going to be the hardest game everyone has on their schedule because of our disposition, our discipline, and our unity every time we take the court. I control that. I don't control the ball going in that net. I control all those other things. There's a reason why, and I don't like speaking about me because this is not about me, this is about us. But there's a reason why the greatest season in K-State history happened while I was there. The winningest 5-year period in its history were my 5 years as a head coach there. And we go to South Carolina, and the winningest, the 2 winningest seasons in the history of the school happened during my time there. The last 7 years, if you remove the COVID year, which was a complicated year for everybody in life, let alone basketball and sports, it's the winningest 7-year period the school's had since the early 70s. It's an excitement to be who we are because we're going to be everyday guys. We're going to answer the bell. We're not going to dwell on yesterday, and we're not going to worry about tomorrow. We're going to celebrate the fact that we get to compete today. And we're going to compete every moment that we represent this uniform. It's who we are in winning. At K-State, we set school record for season ticket sales. South Carolina, we set a school record for season ticket sales. It doesn't work if you guys don't help us. It doesn't work if we don't give you something to be proud of. But that's why we got to connect. We got to sell out that incredible Mullen Center across the hallway right over here. 9,300. We got to pack that joint. Because if we got to win at home, winning at home gives you confidence to go win on the road. You have to protect your backyard like your life depends on it. It's unacceptable to not protect it. We're going to create an enthusiasm in there that's going to be second to none. I know it used to exist. We're going to fight to rebuild that one. We're going to fight and do our part to get people to believe in us, to have hope that we're going back to hanging banners at the University of Massachusetts. Students, we need you guys. You guys create the energy in that building that makes the opponents know that they're in for a fight from the second they walk in that building. That student section is what brings life to every building. We need you students. It's hard to do without you. Winning's already in place at this university. It's School of Public Research. It's number 24 in the country. It's the number 4 online business program. As we move, and why do I use that one? Because we're moving into a world because of COVID where technology and everything from afar is becoming more popular in what we do. Number 4 in the country. I go back to my academics. I go back to education. That's powerful. I spoke about every player having a degree. Powerful. Our guys will live up to that expectation. And then as I was going through the journey, I'm trying to figure out if all the personal alignments were in place, if winning was in place in other sports, can we win here again? His passion is second to none in basketball. I can't speak for the coaches that have won championships here before. They wouldn't do it if he didn't have the passion to help them. But I can tell you his passion to me over the last week has been second to none on the vision that we can do this. So then, do we have what we need to provide them? See, everyone talks about recruiting. You recruit your players every day on your campus when you show them that you care. When you show them that they have whatever they need so they can be the best every single day. Look at this facility. I walked in here 6 years ago, I guess it was, and he was showing me around. He was trying to be nice to me to get in her pockets. And little did I know that I was going to come get in his pocket 6 years later. I remember walking through this building and saying, wow. So when he called, I said, okay, the personal alignment is in place. The academic alignment is in place. The history is in place. Do we have what we need? And I just kept thinking of this building. And then when I walked in here Sunday at 4:30 in the afternoon, even though I'd been here before, I was like, wow, second to none. There's no excuse from a facility standpoint with what we have in place here for us not to do our jobs every day, because at the end of the day, my biggest job, as fans, you guys love the next recruit. As coaches, we're always worried about making the one we got better. And when we provide them with these opportunities academically and with this facility right here, there's no excuse for not getting better. There's no excuse to ever go home and say, man, these people don't care about what I do. All you got to do is walk in here, and too many schools in the country can claim they got a building like this one. So to Mr. Kennedy, I spoke to him on the phone. Thank you for making this happen. First-class facility that will be represented by a first-class basketball team in men's basketball, just like Coach Verdi does every single day that they take the court. It's going to be awesome to share the building with him. I might go hang out in his practices rather than my practices, because we got to win. We got to win. It's what we do, and he does it as well as anybody out there. Next door, the Mullen Center. We talked about that. That place was incredible. Little kid, well, I guess I wasn't little, but little kid in the world of basketball, watching on television, was impacted with the energy and the winning that took place in that building back in the mid-90s. I get goosebumps thinking of what we can create there again when we re-energize everybody that's been a supporter of UMass for so many years and all the new fans. And then we spoke about winning. Has it happened at the school before? Because you can have beautiful buildings, you can have great graphics. If the people in the building aren't about it, the building's empty. You're talking about Atlantic 10 championships, just won this year. You're talking about national championships, won in football, in hockey. And you talk about a school that had a Final Four in men's basketball. I can't guarantee you that we're going to win. It's hard. Winning every day is hard. It's not easy. I tell players all the time, I just visited with them, if winning was easy, who would ever lose? It's really complicated. Winning a day is really hard. Winning a championship is crazy hard. I've been fortunate. I've been tickled to death my whole life that somehow, some way, I always end up around winners. So when I was looking at that, I'm so excited to build our program to compete with the winning that takes place on this campus. We're going to fight for that every single day. We're going to act with class. We're going to fight for today. And we're going to be relentless in chasing the ultimate goal of winning another Atlantic 10 championship and get this program back in that NCAA tournament. That's what it's all about, and that's what our journey will be all about. With that, yep, thank you.
All right. You know, amazing, great stuff. And for the record, I too am a Bamford hire. So you win some, you lose some. All right, Ashley Santola right behind us here has the wireless mic, so we'll go ahead and open it up to some questions to either Ryan Bamford or Coach Martin. Media folk? Nathan Strauss. Leading off, wow.
I asked the same question to Don, and we've heard from the coaches here in the second row what it means to play Massachusetts basketball or Massachusetts hockey. In your eyes, what does the Commonwealth of Massachusetts basketball look like on the court?
We're going to be very similar to Coach Brown's defense. We're going to be very passive. We're going to be very careful that we don't aggravate point guards the same way he's very careful that they don't hit quarterbacks. It's going to be a lot of parallels in how we play. Now, truth be told, I can't coach different than who I am. And being somewhere where my values and who I am is very important to me. And that's why this job, I'm so excited about it. We're going to be a lunch pail, blue-collar basketball team. We are relentless. Our identity, you got to have an identity when you play a sport. You can't be a different person every day you walk in a room. This is blue-collar. This is Western Mass. We're going to get out of bed and we're going to go to work every day, regardless of what it looks like outside. Our players are going to play that way. There's going to be an identity of toughness, of being relentless, and a defensive-minded approach every single time. I'm telling you, whenever we get ready to play, the other team are going to look on the schedule, and they're going to say, who do we play next? UMass. And they're going to go, because they know what's coming. We win or lose, I don't control that day. We'll manage the game and we'll fight to score one more than the other team. But we'll control who we are every single day.
Matt Pator had the story the whole time.
Not exactly. You talked at the beginning about when you recruit guys, it's not the stars on the page. It's something else. What's a UMass basketball player now, and what's a Frank Martin basketball player, and how do you identify that?
Yeah, if he had the story the whole time, I wish he would have called me. Jeez, Ryan just drugged me in the mud here for a whole week. I want people that want to get better. If they got the answers, I can't help them. So when I recruit, I'm really patient. You can have 5 stars next to your name, but if you think you got it figured out, good for you. I'm not the guy. There's 356 now, I think, 6 Division I basketball programs in the country. Listen, everyone says, you ask about recruiting, and it's kind of the question I answer a whole lot. Like, everyone says, like Frank, you're kind of old-fashioned, and you still kind of get after guys. Last time I checked, this is my 38th season on a bench that I just finished. I've never looked down the bench and found open seats. Somehow, some way, there's people out there that fit who I am and want to be a part of what I believe in. And it's my job to find those guys. And along those lines, I don't want 5-star players. I want 5-star people. I don't want 5-star high school players that become 3-star human beings. I want 3-star, 4-star, 5-star guys that want to become 10-star human beings. Don't tell me who you were when you were 18. Show me who you are when you're 36 and you're a man. You got to answer the bell every day and take on life responsibilities. That's what it's about. So who are our guys going to be? Well, I'm going to give you an example. K-State, leading scorer in the history of the school, played for me all 4 years of his career. South Carolina, second leading scorer in the history of the school, played for me during his career. Grew to become that human being. Player of the year in the Big 12, played for me. Player of the year in the SEC, played for me. First time at both schools. So we're going to identify individuals that fit who we are and aspire to be better every day. Because at the end of the day, that's who I am. So I got to find guys that want to work to achieve those things. I don't know if I answered your question there, but.
Right there. Trey.
Trey Dare with 7 News in Boston. Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you.
Frank, you're going to be coaching in a building. You're going to look up and see John Calipari's name on the wall and all that he accomplished here. Recently at the SEC tournament, he was very outspoken in support of you. What did that mean? What's your relationship like with him, and what kind of reverence maybe behind the scenes did he talk about UMass?
He said all that before he knew I was coming to kind of put his name in second place. But, you know. Now, Cal, I tell people all the time, Cal does more for our profession than any of the successful coaches do. He cares about young coaches in this business. I'm his competitor in the SEC. Not that I rivaled his successes at Kentucky, but I'm his competitor. He helped me more than any head coach in the SEC, as did Rick Barnes in my 10 years there. He's a giving man. He looks out for people. He's a lightning bolt. He's willing to stand for who he is, but he does it for the right of what he represents. And he's become a friend. It's going to be an unbelievable responsibility that I've accepted. Every time we take the court, I know what he did here. And it's my duty, my responsibility to elevate our program to rival the successes of his time here. His record speaks for himself, but who he is as a person, that's what means a lot to me.
Andrew Sood, WMUA Sports. Sorry about that. I just wanted to know, what would you say to people who are feeling down on the program after a tough stretch, and what would you say to them that, instills a turnaround environment?
Yeah, it's the last 2 years have been complicated in all our lives. We went from walking around and just doing whatever we wanted to do to getting locked up in our houses and being told you can't do A, B, and C. We went from everyone around us being healthy to losing, all of us lost somebody dear to our life over the last 2 years. Heck, some of us, I sit around sometimes, and when I look in the mirror, I realize that this impacted me too. But instead of worrying about how ugly I am as a bald guy and how much I miss my hair, I realize how lucky I am that I'm still here to look in the mirror. So the last 2 years, the only thing we've had to be able to get to right now, when we can all be in this room and talking in person and kind of starting to feel normal again, is hope. Hope that it's going to be okay. And that's what we're going to create. The way we go about things every day, we're going to give our fans hope that it's going to be okay. That it's going to be okay to come in here and invest. We're going to ask our fans to give us the 3 things that means the most to all of us as human beings: our time, our energy, and our money. We're going to ask our fans for that every day. When I get in the car and I go home, I want our fans to be mad when I'm mad. I want them to cry when I'm ready to cry. And I want them to jump for joy when we're jumping for joy. We're going to be connected in this journey because that's the hope that we need to make this thing work.
I will take a couple more before we go to breakouts. Matt Satilli?
Hey, Coach. Matt Satilli, Western Mass News. You just talked about it, but you've said you're passionate about everything you do in life, especially the people. So what kind of a passion have you seen from the students, the alumni, the community that gets you excited about this new era of UMass basketball?
Well, Ryan was talking about my Twitter interactions over the last 2 or 3 days, and I've been off social media for about a year. When I mean off, my assistants would come in and say, hey, put this on. I need you to put this on because we're recruiting, and so I'd put something on. But social media has become, and it got really bad during COVID, it's become a divisive, aggressive, phony platform where people just insult each other. And I got a saying that I live my life by: I might not know you, but I know me. So if you come at me, I'm not going backwards, I'm coming back. So because of that, I said, I'm staying off social media. Because I can't read this garbage. Because it's people that are irrelevant in my life. They have nothing to do with success or failures that impact me. When he called and gave me the opportunity, and she blessed it, because just so you guys know, I do not make a decision. Everyone says, Frank, why do you yell so much in the building? It's the only place where my word matters anymore. As soon as I walk out the building, I shut up. So I'm going to get my voice heard where they allow me to share it. But it's I don't know. It's a great moment of enthusiasm as we go through what's in front of us here. And it's the unknown, and it's the journey to get to whatever we hope to one day, only worried about today, though. You don't have the energy to deal with today's challenges, and we've learned that over the last 2 years, if we're worried and expending our energies on what the future has. We got to hope for the future, but we got to stay grounded in today.
Rich?
Frank, Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. When you have your first one-on-ones with your new players and your incoming freshmen, what's the first thing you want them to know about you?
Actually, good to see you again. It's been a long time. It's you used to interview Ronnie Everhart, and our players in recruiting, like right now, what I'm doing with these guys, who are going to be great, by the way. I'm telling you, I didn't recruit them. They're my guys. It's my job to sell who I am to them here over the next 3-4 months as we enter the journey that leads us into next year. I spent a lot of time in relationship building. Someone asked me earlier about recruiting. I'm very patient in recruiting. I'm not into just let's go recruit the sexy name so people can write nice stories, but that person doesn't fit into who we are. So then a year later they write, and well, they transferred. Well, I'm very patient in recruiting because people is. My whole focus is not on winning games. It's at building people. If I build people, they will unite and we'll win games because of that. And I try to stay there. It's hard in recruiting sometimes, but I try to stay there and try to stay patient. When players get on campus, they already know everything I'm about. I won't take a recruit, I won't sign him unless they come and watch us practice first. Because we're going to work. Playing hard on game day, that's not just show up and you play for the opponent. No, you play because of who you are every day. You play because of who you are to your core. And so everyone that we offer a scholarship to that accepts it, they've already been to a practice. They spent countless hours with me and my staff on the phone, in person, to make sure that we're already connected as people. Because I don't care what our talents are. If we don't connect as people, you can't get better. So all those decisions will be made before they step foot on campus. And then when they get on campus, they have my undivided attention 24 hours a day for anything they need moving forward. And that's what it's all about.
All right, last one before we go to breakouts. Back to Matt Fator.
First of all, you're not going to miss your hair after a while, trust me.
We look pretty good, don't we?
Seriously.
You got me beat. By the way, I've got one long white hair left right here. You guys don't see it? I'm serious.
Nice.
There's one. It's the only hair I got left, and it's my Dumb and Dumber moment. I hold on to it like dear life. So you mean I got a chance? Maybe.
You, from the time that you started, the mutual interest started to happen between you and UMass, what did you want to learn about UMass to convince you that this was a place that not only that somebody could win, but that it worked on the way that you like to be a coach, the way you like to build a program?
Yeah, again, it's all about people to me. Always has been, always will be. I don't have life figured out. Life has taught me a lot, but I've got so much to learn. And being around people that are willing to help me continue to grow as a person is very important to me. Being around people from different walks of life that are willing to help me grow, whether it's watching another sport run a practice, whether it's watching him lead adults, whatever it may be. Those things are very important to me. And then something that fits who I am. That roll up your sleeves, go to work, don't pout, don't cry when things are bad. Don't worry about what you don't have, but absolutely love what you do have. That's what I'm about, and that's the vibe I get about what UMass is all about. That's the pride and the passion that I feel from people. And like I was asked earlier, it's hard for me, because I've been here for 2 days, to get around the community and go to the movie theater and go to the restaurant and go to Target and do the things that we're going to do as a family. Because I don't want my family to be judged as the coach's family. I want our family to be judged as members of this community, as people that get out of bed and impact this community every single day. But I have it because I got back on social media for the last 3 days. I feel a vibe because I've actually tried to read the stuff that I'm like, holy cow, I can't wait for this to start. I feel a vibe and an energy that this is going to be a whole lot of fun. And again, hope. I got hope that our fans are going to believe in us, and I hope our fans have hope that we're going to go out there and win. And that's the connection that we got to have. That's what drew me here, by the way.
All right, great. Good.
Can I share something before? Because once we break out, as coaches, we go through the journey of a season, and the season beats us up, and we have friends in the business that they know when you're struggling. And late in the year this year, we're in a 3-game losing streak, and Rich Bisaccia, who was the interim head coach of the Raiders this past year, and he and I have become really good friends. He's looking for a job, so it's not like he's employed. And we're in the middle of a losing streak in late conference play, which is hard to overcome. And he sent me a quote. He didn't even call, he just sent me something. And this is who I am. So as you guys ask, who are we going to be? Well, he sent me this quote, and I kind of went to bed rather than watch film, and I was excited about going out the next day. Fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. The warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Every time we take that court at the Mullen Center, we're going to be the storm. And I can't wait to show that to everybody in this building.
Thank you all. So we will do breakouts with Ryan and Coach. TV cameras over by the backdrop to the left there. And also, as I mentioned earlier, Noah Fernandez will be available to the media. He's down front here, along with Ricky Harris, who some of you may know from his time playing here at UMass. So if you have questions for them, you can connect with Riley Ubben and our staff over here, and they'll be certainly able to help you all out from the media. And from those that have come here from just taking time out of your day, thank you so much. And I think, Frank, we're all pretty excited to see what you do when you start getting to work. I guess you already have started to work. So thank you very much.